Invite a Budget Blinds style consultant to show you how to transform your rooms just by changing your window coverings. Canada's #1 choice for window coverings. Visit budgetblinds.ca today.
This is Newcap News with Bart Pediasic.
Good evening. It's news that no family ever wants to hear, that their child is being threatened at school by a classmate with a weapon. But that's exactly what one North Battleford family went through. Not happy with how the school handled the incident, they went to social media, where it sparked a conversation about how to deal with issues like this in a classroom. Here's more from the family still dealing with the aftermath and what changes are in store for their local school division.
Frog was little.
Perfect.
With a little help from Mom, the Earhart boys are sitting down at the kitchen table doing their second grade homework. A typical scene in most households, but what they went through was anything but.
I panicked. I was actually on my way, I was leaving out the door to work when he told me, and so I had to leave in shock.
Tracy Earhart was beside herself when she heard the news from her son. A boy at Notre Dame Elementary brought a knife to school and threatened him and another girl. Her husband Dale immediately called the police, but could not talk to the principal as the school was closed by then. But a meeting was scheduled with administrators a few days later.
They said that they knew about the incident, but they forgot to call me. And we were quite upset about it, but they said they were dealing with it.
Initially, the boy who brought the knife to school was given a one-day in-school suspension, and teachers were ordered to closely monitor him. 2 days later, the boy wrote a threatening note to the Earhart's other son in the same grade. After seeing the note themselves, the family immediately pulled both boys out of school. Anger that administration wasn't doing enough, they turned to social media.
We didn't think it would get
That much attention.
that much attention, but
I expected to get the attention of the school, and that was about it, but I got a lot of attention.
Attention not only from other parents, but the school board as well.
Parents send their most precious possessions to us. They send their kids to our doors, and we have a total obligation to make sure that they are in the safest of environments.
This comes at a time when the Light of Christ and Living Sky School Division are preparing to unveil a new policy when it comes to these matters. The VITRA, or Violence Threat Assessment Protocol, is similar to what Lloydminster schools already have in place. If a student brings a weapon to school, the first step is an intervention between the student involved, administration, and police. Once the threat is assessed, the school board and counseling service may get involved, followed by an intervention between both the perpetrator and the victim. School officials say these steps go further in helping kids than your standard out-of-school suspension.
3 days later, they would come back to the school, and no one knew what took place in those 3 days. And no one knew what caused the initial event in the first place. And so what the VITRA protocols do is, first of all, recognize the threat, and they make sure that we investigate.
Changes that the Earharts are fans of, but that doesn't fix their current situation. Since the incident, one of their sons is afraid to go back to school, the other has panic attacks. They're both being homeschooled.
And a lot of times they're like, well, we didn't see it coming, or, you know, we don't know what caused this. I said, and you have this opportunity now to see something coming, and you have to do something to change it. And I said, because my son is not going to be a statistic. I will not let my son be a statistic. Perfect.
And North Battleford RCMP are investigating what they call a suspicious death after finding a deceased man on a Moosomin First Nation Saturday around 1 p.m. The man was reported missing by family members on Friday. The day-long search by community members led to the discovery of the body. An autopsy is scheduled for today in Saskatoon. The name of the deceased is not being released at this time. If you have any information on this case, you're asked to call North Battleford RCMP at 446-1720 or Crime Stoppers. The Canadian Cancer Society estimates that more than 190,000 Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer in 2015. Nearly everyone has been affected by the disease in some way. And that's why when the Lloydminster's Relay for Life was cancelled in January, there was an immediate outcry from the community. The 15th annual Relay for Life went ahead on Friday. 240 cancer survivors were accompanied by hundreds of participants in a show of community support. The night was full of spirit as dance groups and other acts lit up the amphitheater stage. This year saw roughly $42,000 raised for cancer research, while significantly less than last year's $150,000. Participants say it's $42,000 more than if the relay had been canceled. Well, this year's Colonial Days lineup is packed with new performers, but there's one particular group that will run an unprecedented 4 shows over 3 days. The RCMP musical ride last came through town 4 years ago, and this will be their first appearance at the fair.
The RCMP ride is just a tremendous heritage piece where they come in and do their drill work. It is just a awesome event to have through our fair. There's a component to the RCMP musical ride that anybody can participate with. We do have an Adopt a Horse program where if people are interested, they can give us a call at the office, and it's a sponsorship package where they can get their picture taken with a member and a horse, and they get a sign and a hat, and they get special recognition out on the grandstand during the performances.
Grandstand performers include Canadian pop performer Sean Desmond, country singers Jess Kaluk and Lindsay L. David Usher and Moist will perform on July 10th, and John Mitchell Montgomery will wrap up the fair with a show on Saturday, July 11th. A 2-day Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn tribute has also been added to the talent lineup. On Tuesday, July 7th, will feature a sneak peek night with a kickoff performance by the classic rock band Loverboy.
Tremendous amount of ag again. We have our classic steer steak show, we have our junior beef show, we have sheep show, we have a miniature horse show, light horse events, working horse events, the draft horse show with all the hitch classes and the halter classes. Tremendous amount of agriculture.
The annual Colonial Days kicks off on July 8th at 10 a.m.